This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
My dad took great pride in helping wherever he could.
My only option is raise taxes.
We come from broken families. We come from pornography so easily accessible. We're looking for an alternative, and we're finding that in faith.
His tail was flying, and I was like, how do you get this squirrel attached to your leg off?
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Farewell for the fallen. Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. Hundreds of uniformed officers lined the streets in Red Lion, Pennsylvania today to honor the 3 York County police officers killed in an ambush last week.
In the Bible, to do valiantly means to act with great courage, strength, and determination, often in the face of challenges or opposition, and with the explicit reliance on God's power and will to overcome obstacles. You did just that.
Detective Sergeant Cody Becker remembered, along with Detective Isaiah Emmenheiser and Detective Mark Baker. This is Baker's daughter.
My dad took great pride in helping wherever and whenever he could. My dad, Detective Mark Baker, was courageous, fearless, kind, and compassionate, and he will always be remembered as a hero.
The 3 were fatally shot while investigating a stalking complaint September 17th. 2 other officers were injured but are expected to recover. One of them attended the service today. Now to Texas, where authorities just wrapped up a press conference with more details on the gunman who opened fire on an ICE detention facility in Dallas on Wednesday. Apparently, he left a note behind.
The sniper explicitly states, yes, it was just me.
Acting U.S. Attorney Nancy Larson.
In crude words, he expressed his hatred for the federal government.
CBS's Omar Villafranca.
The question is why? What led to this shooting to come up here in Dallas right off I-35 and shoot into a van?
Clash on campus. A conservative group hosting a Charlie Kirk-style debate table at Tennessee State University today had their sign ripped down before they were chased off campus. The college released a statement saying the individuals responsible were not students and appeared with no notice. President Trump has been in back-to-back meetings today, first with Turkey. He asked them for aid with Russia. He also said there could be progress very soon, ending the war in Gaza.
We met with the leaders of that part of the world, and they want to see if they can get something done. And I'm going to have to tell Israel, let's go. We want to get the hostages back. Everybody wants to see that war over with, by the way. Everybody.
The U.S. Defense Secretary is reportedly ordering a rare, unexpected meeting involving hundreds of generals and admirals. Multiple reports say Secretary Pete Hegseth wants the top brass to meet in Virginia next week for reasons not known. Retired General Wesley Clark's take.
He's got some important statements to make. He wants people to see him up close and look them in the eye and so forth, and assure them of his authority and that he knows what he's doing, and demand their support.
And Amazon has agreed to pay billions of dollars over allegations it duped its Prime customers. CBS reporter Jason Brooks.
Amazon is paying $2.5 billion to settle allegations from the Federal Trade Commission that the e-commerce giant deceived users into paying for Prime memberships. The FTC filed that lawsuit in 2023, alleging that Amazon misled tens of millions of customers into joining Prime, and that made it difficult for those users to cancel their subscriptions.
Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, drought warnings issued despite the rain, a daughter's courage at that police memorial in Pennsylvania, and the late Pennsylvania state budget now affecting salt trucks and plows preparing for winter. Those stories after weather with Kevin Williams.
Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast for tonight. A couple of feisty thunderstorms in parts of the region. Otherwise, for tonight, mainly cloudy, a little misty in places, patchy fog, low temps 50s to near 60. Tomorrow, morning clouds and fog break for some sun. Slight chance of a shower, high in the 70s. On Saturday, partly to mostly sunny with high temperatures in the 70s and bright, sunny, beautiful on Sunday.
Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. There's a strong storm front stretching from Utica to Harrisburg at this hour, making the drive home tough in those towns. So use some extra caution on the roads today. Despite all that rain, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has just placed Chemung and Steuben counties under a drought warning. That means people should conserve water whenever and wherever they can. Allegheny and Cattaraugus counties also included in that warning. Recapping our top story, a moving memorial today in Pennsylvania for 3 fallen officers killed in an ambush. Detective Mark Baker, remembered by his daughter, who bravely stood in front of the crowd to talk about the character of her dad.
The type of person my dad was evident in anything he did, including the words he chose to use. While others called them prostitutes, he called them victims. My dad has always been the designated superhero of my family, and it gives me great solace knowing now he will forever be one for my community as well.
The public was not allowed to attend, but hundreds of police officers from around the state filled the pews of the Living Word Community Church in Red Lion, Pennsylvania. A new bill in New York would require court approval for the release of police disciplinary records. For more than 40 years, police disciplinary records were considered confidential in the Empire State until 2020, when a bill ending that was signed into law. Now, new legislation sponsored by Republicans would roll that back, requiring a judge to sign off before personal records are released. Critics say it would affect transparency. Supporters say it adds just one step to the process and protects our men and women in blue. The 3-month slate Pennsylvania state budget is hampering winter preparation efforts in several towns. In East Taylor Township and Cambria County, officials are starting to worry. Ricky Price is chairman of the Board of Supervisors.
If they don't pass it and we don't get state liquid fuels, I don't know how we're going to balance the budget.
He says the fiscal stalemate in Harrisburg means no money from the state liquid fuels program. That's huge because that program funds East Taylor salt trucks and snowplows.
A lot of municipalities use their state liquid fuels for their anti-skid and salt and things like that. And without that income coming in, how do these municipalities get that material? So how are roads going to be plowed? How is fuel going to be put in vehicles, things like that, without having a state budget passed?
Worst case scenario, says Price.
My only option is raise taxes, and I do not want to do that at all. I'm totally against it, but what option do I have if the state doesn't do their job and pass their budget first?
Pennsylvania is one of just 2 states in the country right now that doesn't have an operating budget. Michigan is the other. Next at 5, the Charlie Kirk effect, a deep dive with focus on the family. Let's listen in. This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the voices on the front lines of religious battlegrounds. I'm news anchor Sarah Harnish, and with me today, Focus on the Family's Zach Mettler. We're talking the Charlie Kirk effect. It is the nickname given to churches packed like Easter Sunday, but in September, and people asking how to read the Bible and pray in the wake of the assassination of Christian activist Charlie Kirk. Zach, you're part of Gen Z, that 13 to 28-year-old crowd that Charlie so effectively reached. How?
We are now, according to some polls, the most church-going generation of all. We go to church more often and more frequently than boomers, than millennials, than Gen X. And I think a lot of that is because we come from broken families, we come from broken homes, we come from backgrounds with pornography so easily accessible, with endless digital entertainment. And because of all that, we're seeing rates of depression and anxiety, especially for Gen Z, at all-time highs. And so we're looking for a solution, right? We've seen the problems, we've seen the culture just feed us so many problems, and we've grown up with that. So we're looking for an alternative, and we're finding that ultimately Gen Z is finding that in faith.
People who have never asked about Jesus are asking their friends and family, where do I start? Where do I begin? How do I open the Word? How do I find a church? How do I pray? Listen to this.
Today we went to church for the first time in a really long time. I've never ever opened the Bible before, and something was calling me to my husband's Bible.
Here's the line for the second service, and there's never a line.
There's a line for the second service, and there's never a line, he says. And they're calling it the Charlie Kirk effect. And you and I know it's God, and he's using Kirk's death to draw people closer to him. Tell me a little bit more of what you're seeing from your vantage point at Focus on the Family.
Well, just anecdotally, I went to church at 6 o'clock on Sunday, and it was absolutely packed, and we had a good amount of young people, which isn't always true. And so I think Tertullian, he said the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. We are seeing that people are now turning to faith more and more to find that answer. And, Charlie, again, he was just a beautiful example of this. He posted dozens and dozens of times over the years on Twitter about his faith, pointing people to faith in Christ. And in one post, he had just 4 words. He said, "Jesus is the answer." And I think the Lord is honoring his faith by drawing people who may have been away from the church or never been to church back to church.
The question in all of our minds is, how on earth do we stand in the gap of a Charlie Kirk? There's one in a lifetime. How do you pick up the torch? And one answer that I'd heard is one person can't, but all of us can.
Yeah, that's very encouraging. And there's a reality that nobody can be Charlie Kirk because, he was just so talented in so many ways. But we all can do something. And in our own spheres and areas of influence, speak the truth and love to those that we love and those that can be influenced by us.
Learn more at FocusOnTheFamily.com. You can subscribe, listen to, and share Faith Under Fire and all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at FamilyLife.org.
If you're self-employed or your job doesn't offer a 401k, an IRA could be your best option for retirement savings. Hi, I'm Rob West with today's Faith and Finance Minute. Roughly 60 million Americans have either a traditional or Roth IRA, but many don't fully understand how they work. For example, while it's generally true that IRA contributions must be made with earned income, a non-working spouse can open an IRA if the couple meets certain requirements. And even if your income is too high to deduct contributions to a traditional IRA, you can still fund one. While the contributions aren't deductible, your income gains will grow tax-deferred until withdrawal. The bottom line? IRAs offer powerful tax advantages, but only if you understand how to use them wisely. Connect with a certified Kingdom advisor who's been trained to deliver financial advice that aligns with your Christian values by visiting our website, faithfi.com.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, how many times have you been attacked by a squirrel? Apparently, it's a thing in one town in California. That story after weather.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. The weekend is straight ahead, and it's shaping up to be, on balance, a pleasant one. Before we get there, though, we have another rather humid and clammy night ahead tonight. Evening thunderstorms across eastern Pennsylvania will depart. And then overnight, just a couple leftover showers, some fog and drizzle that'll linger into tomorrow morning. Here's the call for tonight. Again, a couple of feisty thunderstorms in parts of the region across eastern Pennsylvania, the eastern southern tier of New York. They'll move east and out of the area. Otherwise, for tonight, mainly cloudy, a little misty in places, patchy fog, low temps 50s to near 60. For tomorrow, morning clouds and fog, break for some sun, slight chance of a shower, high in the 70s. On Saturday, partly to mostly sunny with high temperatures in the 70s and bright, sunny, beautiful on Sunday.
Thank you, Kevin. Finally, at 5, don't feed the squirrel, especially in San Rafael, California. Warning posters are up in one neighborhood over an aggressive squirrel who apparently doesn't take no for an answer. Take it from Joan, victim number 1, who tells KGO.
I don't know. I didn't see him running up to me at all. Just clomped onto my leg and it was just hanging on. His tail was flying and I was like, get off me, get off me. And I kind of didn't want to touch it. Very scary. And how do you get the squirrel attached to your leg off?
Isabel was victim number 2 and fared no better.
The squirrel tried to jump to my face. I tried to protect my face and then my arm, and I ran to the emergency room.
In all, the squirrely squirrel has racked up 5 attack victims. The wildlife expert Lisa Block says thankfully it's not rabid, just accustomed to getting what it wants, or else.
Unfortunately, it's not unheard of. They associate people with food. They're not afraid of them. They come up, they look for food, they don't get it. There could be frustrations.
Plenty of frustration among battered neighborhood residents as well, who are watching their backs in squirrel-crazy San Rafael, California. And that's the world that we live in for Thursday, the 25th of September. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.